In order to get my son into a prestigious university, my mother would force him to take all kinds of pills. Every time my son got the first place, he would show off in front of his parents. But he didn't know that, because he always got the first place, his son was always excluded by his classmates. On that day, my mother suddenly got a call from school. My son Chengchai didn't go back to his dormitory last night. He called his husband, who was a forensic doctor. At that time, on the dissecting table next door, a boy's body was lying. Forensic doctor Lao Bai found out after checking the surface of the body. The dead man's pants were pulled open when he pulled the chain. Two eyes and pupils were narrowed. There was an open wound on the top of the head. There were many scars and bruises all over the body. Judging by the degree of tooth damage, the boy was about 15 years old. Because he was too young to have an ID card, he had to compare his DNA to identify him. Soon the DNA matched successfully. At that moment, the doctor in charge was shocked. At the same time, Lao Bai was about to examine the body. The dean suddenly rushed in to stop him. When he saw the boy's face, the dean suddenly remembered the time he had dinner with Downan. The other party showed off to his son that he got the first place again. He also said that his son was so smart because there were 7 fingers on his neck, like the 7 stars of Beidou. Looking at the fingers on the boy's neck on the dissecting table, the dean was sure that he was Downan's son. Then he called Downan to the office. He told him the bad news he had just learned, but Downan didn't believe it at all. "What nonsense are you talking about? I'm on my way to find my brother. What the hell?" Until his wife called him crying again, he realized that his son was really in trouble. The next second, he rushed to the dissection room like crazy. Lao Bai hurriedly let Xiaopang lock the door. Then he stood in a row to block the boy's body. Because the National Search Department has clear regulations, the family members can't watch the dissection process of their relatives. Hearing the crying of Daonan, other people's tears couldn't help but stay. At this time, the boy's mother also rushed over. When she saw the son's name on the big screen, she sat on the ground directly. To determine the cause of the boy's death, Lao Bai began to examine the boy. When he opened the chest cavity, all the staff were stunned. There were 13 severe fractures all over the boy's body. Various minor fractures are even more uncountable. Combining the photos taken at the scene, Lao Bai judged that the boy had fallen off the building and died. He looked fine on the outside. There was no blood. The moment the boy hit the ground, he died. His heart was beating fast. Later, Lao Bai found that the boy's stomach was very clean. There was food residue in only 12 fingers. It shows that the boy died a few hours after eating. After the dissection, Lao Bai resealed the body. Then he cleaned up the stains on the boy's body. When Daonan saw the familiar face of his son, he could no longer control his emotions. He cried bitterly on his son's body. If heaven can be one life for one life, I think it should be full of parents there. To determine how the boy fell, everyone came to the school's heaven. Unexpectedly, they found 2 completely opposite footprints here. And these 2 footprints are all the boys.